please.
Remember the first time we did this record on the cloud? It's recording.
Yes, but you're so much more proficient now than when we started this past summer.
I know, but I never tried it on the cloud before. Once I stopped that, I recorded everything directly to the computer. So we'll see what happens.
Hi, I'm Melissa McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise, broadcasting from Tarpon Springs on my iPhone. Used to be on my computer, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully this whole thing should be a sharper picture. Maybe audio is about a wash, and then I'm in a little box, just the way Belinda likes it.
That's the way I like it. All right, so where did I put my tablet? I have all my topics. I put it somewhere. And I, of course, want to talk to you about your last segment without me, with Jamie and Matt Davis. And you know what? I'm not saying that I prayed for the internet to go off. I'm not going to say that because it wouldn't be right. But Jamie is lovely, 6 foot tall. How amazing is that? Like, so lucky. And I noticed I'm going to have to do better because she laughed at all your jokes, every single one.
She's an easy laugher. That's why we're friends. She's here right now in the building, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay. All right.
She and Conrad are like gypsies, and they're hunting up internet during the day.
Oh, yeah, I can appreciate that. So, tell me, this is January the 22nd.
Yes.
And we now, the last time I spoke to you, we had a different president in office. Now we have a new fella and our first lady VP. So I feel different. Do you?
It's funny. I did feel different. I felt, and I think I said that on the last podcast, is that I remember when Kennedy got shot and then the Beatles came up. It's like, you're so depressed. And then it's like, oh yeah, this can be fun. Life can be fun again.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I questioned some of the things. I mean, I don't know about the pipeline and things he's doing, just knee-jerk reaction, but it's nice to have a fresh face in the White House.
No, it really is. And I'm, what you said about the pipeline and stuff, I'm going to assume, since he's been a VP before, he's been in the White House, that the choices he's making are choices that he's researched and thought about. And I feel like, I hope I'm right about this, that he surrounded himself with people that know what they're doing, and that he'll listen to advice that he knows that one man's decision doesn't represent us as a whole.
Exactly. And let's go into this knowing that just because Trump did it doesn't make it a bad idea. He probably did a lot of good things, but but for a lot of other reasons, people didn't like him. I mean, I just thought he was an asshole, and sure. I'd rather not have a president that's an asshole. He may have done good things. I think he did some bad things. I think the tariffs and this and that and the whatever. But yeah. Maybe the pipeline is a good idea. I don't know.
Well, I think one of the best things he'll probably be known for is he really bolstered that whole QAnon thing. There's a lot of people that I read some stuff today I want to talk about that feel very strongly about this group called Q for QAnon. And we'll see where that goes, right? Because when these big, strong groups come forward, what kind of an impact do they make on our society?
Right. No, I think it's a disaster coming for the Republican Party. I mean, the Republican Party was small to begin with, small but vocal, and now you're going to take a third of it or a half of it and spin it off into the Trump version of the Republican Party, and they'll never win anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a definite far right going on, so it'd be interesting to see who does make their choices, because two interesting things, Tom, that I read just today, and I researched them to make sure it wasn't, because people make stuff up, right? I want to make sure
yeah.
A made up thing. We're trying to really work on some truth here. So one thing that came out is that they're trying to promote the idea that Biden and his team were all arrested. And yes, but it's not good for the United States to have that go forward. So even though they did that in secret, arrested, they're letting everybody out to move forward. But the ideas that are coming forward now are from Trump, but they're going to let the Biden team be a figurehead. That is one thing that is out there right now.
This reminds me a little bit of an improv game where you set up a crazy scenario and then a third person comes in and solves the problem with magic dust if necessary.
Yeah.
I'm turning you into a wheelbarrow that eats bricks, and that's how we get rid of the brick pile. It's like,
Yes.
wow, because you empower somebody to do whatever it takes to solve the problem.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, so this is what we're going with. Then there was the face-off thing. Did you hear the face-off thing?
I heard that they believe now that Trump is in Biden's body. I heard that. Is that the face off?
Yeah, well, whatever. They changed faces,
Yeah.
like the John Travolta
Yeah.
movie.
That was a very good film, Face Off. Yes, because remember the basis for QAnon appears to be, correct me if I'm wrong, that Trump was put here to save us because the Democratic Party is filled with pedophilia, sex offenders, and they are keeping children in the basement of a pizza place.
Well, those aren't all the planks of the Democratic Party. There's a couple other things. Free
Okay,
money.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pay all your bills.
I don't know all of it, but if you
Oh,
understand the basis of QAnon is the fact that people truly believe that you can order pizza. I mean, if you say something, it's a code word that you're actually going to be delivered children that you can have sex with.
what's
And
that?
yeah, and then there are also, have you heard of the furniture company called Wayfair? Wayfair.
Yes.
Okay, I love Wayfair. I have a lot of Wayfair in my home, and I learned several months ago that QAnon was saying there is a shelf at Wayfair that's thousands and thousands of dollars, and the shelf's name is Ashley. So now they understand that when people ask for that shelf, the reason it's so expensive is you're actually getting children. You're not getting the shelf. That's the code. So Wayfair had to stand up and fight it because they started losing business because people were complaining, saying, take these children's name off the furniture. We don't support pedophilia.
Wow. It's sad. I mean, it's scary and it's sad how infected this
Yeah.
is. They used to call it, well, Trump derangement syndrome was how liberals were reacting to Trump. Well, now you're seeing the new definition of Trump derangement system syndrome, where people are just out of their minds. Like, did you see the woman crying,
Yes.
crying to Jesus? I mean, she's distraught.
Yes.
Like, you should never be this emotional about a person that you don't even know.
No, no. And I do feel badly. Honestly, Tom, when this first started happening, I was amused by it. Now I'm terrified, and I feel horribly for these people that believe so firmly in this that they're being physically affected by it, and they feel like the world is going to end. I got a phone call from a friend of mine that lives in Oklahoma yesterday, and I was worried he was a Trump supporter, and I wasn't about to have that talk because I'm very clear on my social media where I stand. He told me unsolicited that he was contacted by people in his area that are moneyed, that are smart, that are speakers, that are out in the world. And they were sending him secret messages saying, hey, if Biden wins, it's going to be the end of the world and end time. So they sent him lists of things he could buy to survive the end of the world. And
Yeah, it was crazy. 30. I mean, I got at least two, and people pretty much know my politics. I'm not out there, but
yeah,
you could take a good guess where I'm going to stand
right.
on an issue. I was getting private messages here. The military's in position. Have 30 days worth of supplies. Make sure you load up on guns and ammo. I go, are you serious?
Yes. Yes. I had my cousin when this started told me, you have no idea if Biden wins how bad it is. I'm terrified, and I wish that you could understand how dark it's going to be because everything is over if he wins. I mean, that's the mindset that they have worked with these people to be terrified
Right.
of anything other than Trump. And that's what's worrisome about this. Because you know what?
Yeah.
We're all here together. Our world isn't based on one person. It's not just Trump. Like, yes, I think Trump was a jerk, but he happened to be president, so a lot of power went his way. So I don't know what the answer is, Tom. How do you get people that are horrified and terrified? How do you even get them to begin to see that they're
Well, it's funny because I think everybody's on their own path, their own journey. I mean, and I always question, am I on a crazy path?
Yeah, me too.
Nobody wants to be on that crazy path. You got to check yourself.
Yeah.
And I had one guy in particular, wasn't a good friend of mine, but we were, like comedy. He invited me to do a comedy at a show, and he was producing the show. So, you got to have something going on in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly right. That's what my
Yeah,
friend was saying. He said these are people that are well established in the world that
yeah,
are buying into the fact that the world is going to end.
right. Well, he was like, huh, nothing really happened on the 6th. Huh, nothing really happened on the 20th. Huh. He's like, you could see him backpedaling, backing off, because he's a
Okay.
smart person. He's got his own business. It's
Yeah.
like, but he's like, I'm like, really? You're really waiting for something to happen like that? I mean, that would be all hell breaking loose, is
Yeah.
what you were counting on. I
Yeah.
mean, really, all hell shooting in the streets, armies and civil war is what you were anticipating happening. But the military flipping and grabbing Biden off the stage and reinstalling Trump, I was like, what kind of madness is that?
Well, I think if you live in a world where the My Pillow guy can have a private meeting with Trump and talk about martial law, then the sky's the limit on how crazy it can be. The sky's
Well,
the
here,
limit.
yeah, and the nice thing about it, it's sad and but it's nice at the same time, is that corporate America is not a bunch of idiots,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they don't like the My Pillow guy.
Right.
We don't want you encouraging, civil war and civil unrest. And if
Right.
that's going to be your platform, we're not going to support you financially. So we're going to give you the boot. Uh, I don't know. This may be true, but I don't think he invented the pillow. I think there were pillows before him,
Yeah.
and there'll be pillows after him.
Yes.
So we can
Yeah.
do without him and his, magical pillow.
Yes. Absolutely. And on a sidebar, these are part of my remnants from my birthday. I got the most magical. Look at this giant, giant, giant bouquet of.
Did I send that? Was that an unknown admirer?
You know, here's the thing about my birthday. I will say no. This is from my niece Trina because she
Okay.
knows what I like, and I received no unsolicited flowers from any gentleman callers because Melinda has no gentleman callers, which is fine. I'm not looking for them. It's not hard, I think, to date even during a pandemic. I think what's hard is to be able to have a legitimate relationship during a time when we're in lockdown. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, it's
I don't know how to it.
who
So
does?
I haven't been doing it. And as you know, New York was hit. I live in New York. We were hit hard at the beginning. So it was a little bit of a time lapse. Like you guys had more time, like, oh, it's a pandemic, but we can do this, we can go outside. So in New York, it's different.
Yeah, we were only really locked down for about 3 months.
Right. And so anyway, thank you for letting me have the day off. I had a glorious day. It was lots of fun. I'm back with my red hair. I wish I
I
could have.
see.
I know. I prefer the gray now that I've done the gray. My roots are literally down to here. This is all a spray. And I was really hoping, because I'm so naive, that if I sent these glorious pictures to the owner of my company, he would look at it and say, this is fantastic. And while he was very kind about it, his opinion is based on business. And he says, you sell
Absolutely.
many products and we don't want to alienate our customer base. And so we like you the way you are. You will stay red. And
Don't go changing.
so you know what? The guy that pays my checks has every right to tell me that. And
Absolutely. And you got every right to walk if you don't want checks anymore.
right. And I want the checks and I don't want the hair more than I want to make a living. So
How about, I mean, can we compromise with a wig?
you know what? I bought a wig so I could wear it for my show so I could let my hair go gray. And the wig color is a little off. So I'm actually going to dye it. And I will try the wig out on on our podcast to see if we like it. I would
You were
love
right the first time. Go on.
we'll see, wigs. I spent a lot of money on this wig thinking it would look, because it's real hair. I paid a lot of money, real hair, did the measurements of my head. I did all the stuff, Tom, and I put it on, and maybe it's a psychological thing, but I know it's a wig. So I feel very.
It would be weird. It would be weird. I mean, I think you get to a point where it would just be part of you. But I mean, guys with hair pieces, women with wigs. I mean, it's like, it's a
Yeah.
little bit bizarre. I noticed somebody selling teeth, all sets of teeth you just put over your existing teeth. I go, how do you eat with that? How would you do that?
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Wow.
so plus your head would weigh 10 pounds with a big wig on it.
That'd be, It is very heavy, and you feel like I did a Zoom thing with my family and I put it on to see what they thought. And they said they thought it looked nice, but the color was off. It's more of like a light strawberry blonde that I don't
Uh,
wear, right? So
right.
we'll see what happens. But thank you. I had a glorious birthday. I'm officially 60 now. I don't have to say almost. I am 60. I
Welcome.
loving it. And so I did watch the show. And of course, it broke my heart a little bit because I wasn't there. But Jamie was great and Matt was great. And I like that you kept bringing up my name. So even though it wasn't in the most positive spin, but you brought my name up. So I'll take what
Boy.
I can get.
It's your show, Han. This is your show. This is you're the dynamo behind this whole idea.
Well, so
Take,
tell me,
yeah.
speaking of, what did Matt, I wanted to write the phrase down. Matt called Jamie something. It was a very nice name, something, something special guest. And I thought, then I want a tag. If Jamie gets a tag, I want a tag. So I'm going to have to talk to Matt Davis about whatever the hell that.
Davis said something. I think Davis said something about see you next time when you're next co-host. I go, wow, you're pushing Belinda out already.
He wasn't hiding it, was he? Wasn't hiding his feelings. Well,
No,
what are your topics? I have so many.
you had all those topics you had on the Monday,
Yes.
and then I'm a madman, so I do not have any topics.
Okay, that's okay. Real quickly before we get into the topics, because I have a million of them. Did you hear about in today's news, Hank Aaron, age 86? So I
86? I thought he was older than that.
no. Well, according to the news media, he was 86. I obviously had heard of Hank Aaron because he was a legend. I don't know many baseball players, but clearly he was in the media a lot. But it made me research him, and it was just kind of heartbreaking to read what he said after he. Okay, so it says that he had a 33-year record for home runs. It hasn't been broken. It wasn't broken for 33 years, which is pretty damn phenomenal when you think about it. But it said that when he broke the record, he got death threats and his family got death threats. And that,
I sent him 3.
okay, so that probably started it. But he said he had to go into hiding. His children had to go into hiding. And he said for the first time ever, he felt like he wasn't getting the same accolades as the other.
Of course not. Instead of accolades, he got death threats. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And he said after he did that, after he did the 715, which beat the 714 from Babe Ruth, he said it made him look at America in a different way, and he was really disappointed to feel like that's how he was being treated.
It's all horrible. It's all horrible. People should be embarrassed. And and then
Who are these people that would hate
well,
on someone?
your Southern Confederate guys, old whiteys. It's old whitey all over the place. And then we tamped it down to the 70s and 80s and 90s, and then only to rear its ugly head, 4 years ago.
Right. And why haven't we tapped into what's causing that so we can work on that? You know what I mean?
Well, it's just like the Germans needed the Jews. These people need somebody to focus on, to hate on, to go after. So it's ridiculous. It's small-minded, and you would hope that after a while, society would just like this. These are old. These people are dead and dying. They've got stupid brains and they've got small thoughts, and
Right.
one day, hopefully, they'll just age out. But
Yeah.
I think it showed that the 80s and 90s, I think, were better times. I mean, there weren't as many examples like that because we kind of spray painted over the problem, but the rust was still there. And here we got to get it out. Now the rust is now bubbled to the top again. Now you got to sand it down and really. It's funny you say, the Republicans were complaining about the term. Somebody was saying re-educating or reprogramming, these crazy Trumpers, because their minds have been bent in a way that they're honoring and over this crazy cult of personality. It's really
Well,
really
and
horrible.
have you talked about this? I feel like my girlfriends and I have talked about this, and maybe it's just being a female. When we were growing up, Tom, there were a lot of things that we didn't talk about, like the statues of Confederate soldiers and things that like were out in the world that I never questioned authority when I was growing up. I thought if people were in charge, They knew what was best for people. And so I didn't question a lot of things like that. So when things came up about people taking the statues down, I had a conversation with my mom because my mom said, well, why are they tearing down these statues? It's our history. And I said, I'm so glad to have this conversation with you because let's talk about our history and what we're actually feeling is important enough to make a statue about. I don't think people tearing the statues down were saying ignore history. I think they were saying don't worship people that are out to harm other people.
Yeah, these guys are not. We're not good for the country.
Right. And so when things like that continue to progress, and as a child, if you're a child of color and you see these and then you hear the history from your parents, it would put you in a different mindset of like, why are we celebrating people that harm people, especially me? So we didn't talk about it. So I'm glad that we're having the conversations, even though
Yeah.
they're very uncomfortable.
I believe I met Hank Aaron
Oh,
because he was at Home Shopping. I met all those guys: Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, um, a ton of Johnny Unitas, Daryl Strawberry. I was very interesting. I tell you, the one thing that was consistent about these guys, they were oversized. I
oh,
remember Johnny Unitas, his hand, like, I'm not small, right? His hand enveloped mine. His feet, his fingers were like sausages. These are
wow.
big dudes.
Wow. And then so
Thick.
Hank Aaron was selling memorabilia then
Yeah,
at
they're out because we had a run there in the early '90s of baseball memorabilia. Selling like crazy. Signed baseballs, 500 home run club.
okay. Very cool. Very cool. No, that's so cool that working at HSN definitely gives you an opportunity to come across some really impressive
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Willie Mays and Mel and I went out for lunch. It was crazy.
What?
Yeah.
What? I never, I can't think of any celebrity I went out with or I like spent time with that way at home shopping. But I will say probably my most exciting moment was when I got to have a conversation with Susan Lucci. For me, that was a really big deal because she was a lovely human being and she spoke really soft and she was she would do this like her and I did a lot of shows together because they used me to sell a lot of wrap up products. And so I'd be at the beginning or the end of a show and she was watching me sell something and I walked off set and she was standing there and she still had rollers in her hair. You know, she wasn't like, you know what I mean? She was a great human. And she said, you were very, very good. You know, and she said it in such a tiny, sweet, and you just wanted to pick her up and hug her, but her little wrists were like baby birds. Like she was a tiny little, and I just was so thrilled to have an like Susan Lucci, man. She's an icon, right? Like
Yes.
I felt like it was my magical moment. So, all right. So I do want to talk about the Simpsons, Tom, because you and I talked about how they predict the future. Did you hear another thing came up about the inauguration? Something that the Simpsons predicted. Did you hear about this?
The woman was going to wear pearls and in a purple dress.
Yes. So unless I'm going to fix this so you everybody can see, unless Kamala is a big fan of The Simpsons and she did this on purpose, it's the purple outfit with the pearls.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Now, come on. The Simpsons have hit it way too many times with
Okay.
things that are going on. I think we need to start paying more attention. I told my daughter, and she said, we need to sit down and watch this show because they said also the Tom Hanks thing was a tie in. On The Simpsons in 2007, they had Tom Hanks. His quote was, the US government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine. And so he was on there talking, and it said that it tied in with Tom Hanks. He appeared as a host during the virtual concert on Wednesday night for the inauguration. I mean, what are the odds? I don't think we're trying to fit this in to make it work. Like, what are the odds? Tom Hanks, Tom Hanks. Like, come on, during the
Right.
inauguration.
No, it's mind-boggling. We talked about the guy with the brick tattoo last
Brick
week.
tattoos. And then, so when I was reading it, it said that The Simpsons also predicted the Siegfried and Roy tiger attacks. I didn't know that. And they also predicted murder hornets. Remember the murder hornets? I don't know what happened to them. They've talked about it a little bit. And they also predicted Disney buying 20th Century Fox.
That's crazy.
I mean, there's way too much going on. I think we need to just like Biden needs to get an investigative team to talk to the writer. What's his name? Matt something.
Matt Groening.
Matt Groening, and find out if he is from our future, because should we prepare for some stuff? Maybe he could talk to the QAnon people and calm them down. Give them, maybe the QAnon people should watch The Simpsons.
Well, my son told me that Groening, people do claim that Groening's from the future.
How can he not be at this point, Tom? How can he not be? Okay, so have you been watching the meme with Bernie Sanders when he was at the inauguration with his arms crossed with the mittens? So do you know the story about the mittens?
The story about the mittens? I do not.
Okay, so for anybody that's listening to this, in case you have missed it, I can imagine that you have, because if you have any social media at all, you've seen the picture of Bernie at the inauguration with his arms crossed, and he has these homemade mittens. So people have been photoshopping the hell out of it, and they put him in Game of Thrones. They put him on Melania's dress. Like, so all my friends now are photoshopping him around anywhere they can place him. And so the mittens are unique because these are handmade mittens that a second grade teacher from Vermont sent to him a couple of years ago. I mean, how lovely. So here's the story with the mittens. Okay, they're made from repurposed wool sweaters, and they are made also from fleece from recycled plastic bottles. Okay, so this lady made these mittens, gave it to him a couple of years ago. He's wearing them, all legit. Most people, if you look at all the former first ladies, they planned their outfits, man. They wore royal purple, they had matching coats, they had matching masks. So did Bernie plan this because he's been wearing them several places, or is Bernie just Bernie and said, here's my mittens, I'm going to the inauguration?
There's no way he didn't. There's no way he planned to wear mittens. Those are the mittens he uses all the time.
He uses them all the time. So of course, what do you think is happening with these mittens since Bernie's been wearing them? People are reaching out to this lady saying, make me some mittens. I love this lady's response. I don't know how old she is. Do you want to guess what a second grade teacher from Vermont is saying to the world of social media? She said in one day she got 6,000 requests for these mittens. Want to guess what she said?
She said, you know what? Why don't you learn how to knit and make yourself your own mittens, thus being self-sufficient rather than throwing money at a situation?
That's very close. You're a very good guesser. She said something to the effect of, these are one-of-a-kind mittens. I'm very busy as a teacher. You're getting in the way of my yearly report cards, and not everybody can get what they want. Go on Etsy and find someone that can make similar mittens.
GFY.
I love that, because you know what? She doesn't care. She made them for Bernie. She's living her life. She's not going to duplicate them because they're one of a kind.
I love it.
Suck it up, Americans. You can't always get everything you want.
You know, but there's also that affection towards Bernie.
I know.
That people would like to, have a little piece of Bernie. He's got a great, giving, loving heart. He's, definitely in the right place. And then why not go to the source if you can? I think that if I was her, I'd be a little more flattered rather than aggravated, but it is what it is.
But you know what? Knowing Bernie the way you know Bernie, I bet you he will find a way to make this a fundraiser or do something to get money towards groups. I think he's going to do something with it when he sees that all the attention is on that. So you just wait and see. I think Bernie's going to do something with that. But I thought it was funny that she said that they're distracting her from her mid-year report cards. She's got stuff to do, man. Don't mess with
Please, I don't want to make $100,000 selling mittens.
I'm a second grade teacher in Vermont. I don't need you. So I love that she said not everybody can get what they want. You know, she's a hardcore teacher, man.
Wow.
A great teacher going, not everybody gets what they want.
Amen.
So I thought that was funny. Okay. I wanted to talk last time about 2 piglets for a kayak.
Yes, ma'am.
So Tom is walking away while I'm having a conversation, which is not unusual. So I'm not thrown by this at all. So here's where this story came from. I was talking to my niece about bartering and about wouldn't it be nice if we bartered more, that it would help people out? So of course there's people around the world during the pandemic that have turned to bartering, because bartering is a more efficient way for people to get what they need when they don't have money or they have the resources that they can share. So here's the reason behind, or the story behind two piglets for a kayak. Clearly someone needed a kayak, someone had two piglets, they came to an agreement and they traded. So we're talking about Fiji. Fiji is one of the areas, they're kind of isolated from a lot of people, and they haven't really been touched in a big way by COVID. So they're trying to not rely on tourism and trying to help each other out with the products that they already have. So they've already created a very successful, they've got 100,000 members already in Fiji, where they're bartering with what they have, so they don't have to worry about losing the tourism industry, right? Because of COVID, they don't want people to come in San Francisco, I guess. And that sounds like, because San Francisco is very progressive, they're doing the bartering system as well, where people are like baking bread and getting fresh avocados, and they traded it for someone to help come in and teach them how to garden better, which is so smart, right?
It's very interesting to see how people can evaluate what's valuable. Are
Yes.
the piglets more valuable than the kayak, or is it a piglet and a half, or what's the deal?
I don't know. I mean, I think in a system like that, you have to have people that maybe have less of an ego and more of a, what the value for the trade is, what they need, right? Instead of saying, hey, one piglet's enough for the kayak, right?
Well, I mean, everything's negotiations. Am I going to work 3 days for a loaf of bread? Probably not, but I'll work 2 hours for a loaf of bread.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind being in a barter system. I know that there are some people that do it to a smaller level, like in business, right? We all do that, like, oh, I'll give you this product for that. But to
Right.
do it in Fiji, they're trying to do it to survive, which is that's a really big deal, right? That you
Well,
have
it's
to.
nice. It's nice that people have a skill set or the ability to generate something to trade. I'll teach you how to play the guitar. I'll teach you how to weave. I'll trade my vegetables for your meat. So
Yeah. No,
that's
so
right.
I think that's fascinating. So Trina said that they do have a system out there that you can tap into. So I have to find the one in New York that's across the United States, where you barter products, but you also give free stuff away without expecting anything in return. So it's all about reusable. So, and she said it could be anything. Like if someone says, I need good writing pens because I don't really have any pens, then people just give them, and it's the system of, you don't expect anything in return. You offer it up for free and it goes for free, which I really appreciate that too, because you tell, who amongst us, especially you, Tom, you've just finished moving most of your stuff. You have a lot of stuff you don't use anymore that probably someone could get great joy from.
I was very pleased with myself, which
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often, and the fact that I have pretty much cleared out the house, and I've thrown very little away. Most went to Goodwill, things like that, or people that wanted it or needed it. And then I've also, repurposed stuff with my brother and my ex. So yeah, I've not thrown it. I mean, I'll have a thing, and I said, just don't just chuck this into the garbage can. Put this in a box, and we'll take that whole box to Goodwill. So
Yeah. No,
it's
absolutely.
funny. Here's a tip. Can we get to the tip of the day early?
Yes.
Depending upon where you live,
Yes.
you go to Goodwill, and as you're dropping off, there's just lines and lines of cars dropping things up. And when you drop something off, I go, look at that, look at that. This guy's dropping this perfectly good whatever. I'm saying 4 trips a day to the Goodwill with an empty box.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
You
moved
might be able
a lot.
to. You may be able to outfit your apartment.
I've done a lot of Goodwill dropping off and shopping. I like Goodwill.
Oh,
I
I'm
do.
not shopping. I'm not shopping. I'm following the guy that just dropped off that antique lamp, and I'm putting that in my car.
I like thrifting and when it comes to like clothing and stuff. As a woman, I feel like we do go through a lot of clothes, and thrifting is, why are you booping me?
No, I want to see where the camera is, where I'm looking at the right spot.
Tom is, for anybody on iTunes, Tom's just started sticking his finger in the camera. And I didn't know if it was dementia or what was going on.
Does this make her stop talking? Let's see.
Let's make her stop. Okay. I also want to talk about Disney deaths. Do you want to guess when I'm talking about Disney deaths, when I'm
Disney deaths?
death
D-E-A-T.
dying? Yeah, D-A-T-H. What do you think I'm referring to?
I'm saying people that died on the park.
No, you're usually a very good guesser. I'm actually speaking of the characters that die in Disney films and the story behind it. I didn't know this story. Tom, tell me if you know this story about Walt Disney's mom. Did you know about anything about Walt Disney's mother? How do we know about Disney? We all go to the parks. We all buy this stuff. How much Disney stuff do you think you've bought in your lifetime?
$7,000 worth of stuff.
A lot, right?
Besides, in addition to the parks.
In addition to the parks, what does it cost these days? Do you know, to go to a Disney park?
I'm gonna guess $150.
Yeah, and that's just to walk in. Sodas are probably $10. I forget what they are, but they're when you go in, hundreds will be spent on food, hundreds will be spent on trinkets because you're buying an experience, right? So we've spent a lot of time and money on Disney, and I didn't know the story about his mother, and I'm shocked that I didn't know it. And I don't know if it just got buried in the news or whatever happened. People have always spoken about Bambi, the trauma of losing the mom. Okay, so there's Fantasia, Dumbo, Pinocchio, Bambi, Snow White. Those are all Disney films that were done. Those were done in the first 5 years of a Disney, where the mother character died or was dead. Okay, that's a lot. And so here's the story behind Walt Disney's mother. It's really tragic. When he first started making a lot of money, he told his parents, I want to buy you a house. Of course. How cool is that? Buys him a house. He gets I want to make sure I get the right terminology. He gets the studio guys to go in and fix the furnace in this house. They're not furnace guys. They're studio guys. They go work on the furnace. The first night the mom and dad are in the house, the housekeeper comes in the next morning, finds them passed out, drags them outside. The dad survives, the mom dies. Horrible, tragic. He felt responsible because clearly it was his decision to get the house. It was his decision to send people that weren't in that field to fix the furnace. And so that's the theory, because they said he never spoke of it. No one was allowed to speak to him of it, but they think that's why in a lot of the Disney films, the mom's already gone, because it was so tragic for him that it became a part of what he was trying to work out through his movies.
So wait a minute. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. He didn't become famous until he got successful. But he got successful wasn't Bambi one of the first movies?
Yes, it said that it was during this time, during the filming of Fantasia, that this occurred.
Oh, so he had a little bit of success. But so I don't want to nitpick. But wasn't Bambi's mom dead first before Fantasia?
Well, it says in his first 5 years is when he did Dumbo, Pinocchio, Bambi, and Snow White. So
and then he gets rich, then he builds the house, and then he works on Fantasia.
Fantasia, when he was doing Fantasia, it was one of his first films. That's when he got the house for his parents. And then came Dumbo, Pinocchio, Bambi, and Snow White. So when he was famous is when he first came into money. And he said, I want to get you guys a house. And that's when this occurred. But
this is what every NBA basketball player should tell their mom, this story when they get their big contract. Mama, I'd buy you a big house, but I don't want you to be dead.
I mean, as a fella, I can see where you would think that way.
No, as a matter of fact, that's quite.
isn't that the ultimate? If you are successful, I feel like most people do want to reward their parents as a thank you, right? As a, wow, what's cooler than buying them a house? That would be an amazing thing
Absolutely.
to buy your parents a house. And then, no one plans for anything to go tragically. I mean,
Why is that always the big thing? I mean, I remember when I was a kid, my brothers, it would be like, oh yeah, mom, we're gonna buy you a house. Like, we're living in a house. Are we unhappy with this house?
I don't know. I think your home and where you live is kind of seen as like the ultimate style of living, right? So if even if your parents had a nice house, let's make it nicer for them because this is where you spend all your time.
Of course.
I mean, if you had become like a millionaire when your parents were both alive, I know you lost your dad when you were how old, in your 20s?
Yeah, 21.
You had become a millionaire before then when your dad was still alive. Would buying them a house have been the ultimate gift?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah. I know when I was a little kid, my mom tells this story. I wanted to buy her a gold bathing suit. To me, that was the ultimate gift, was a gold bathing suit. I still haven't gotten her one, so I better do it. That was my idea of being rich. If I was
Right.
really rich, I would buy her a gold bathing suit.
I
So,
love it.
okay, so I'm going to keep going with my stuff because I feel like I can, right? Like,
Absolutely.
okay, so one of the things I wanted to talk about also is what's in your email. Now, we talked about this before. When you pull up your email, do you feel like you get like a lot of spam and a lot of what?
On two accounts, it's nothing but spam and the occasional interesting piece. I've got three accounts. I've got a football account on Yahoo that I think if I'm gonna sign on for something and I need an address and I know it's gonna get full of spam, I use that football address.
It's really smart.
Then I've got my Verizon account, which used to be business, but then a little bit of nonsense leaked into that. So I get the crazy roofing thing and, and 60% of that is nonsense. Probably more than that is nonsense.
Okay.
And then I've got my carry card account, which is pretty much all just business.
And so do you handle your spam right away, because they have spam blockers and different things, or do you just keep deleting as it comes in? You don't
I
try
don't delete anything. I probably have 187,000 messages.
Why, Tom? Why wouldn't you delete that stuff so it's just not hanging around? There's no,
What's the upside of deleting?
I don't know. Well, so have you looked at the difference between your regular spam that shows up in your email versus your full-on spam folder?
Oh, no.
I just looked at it the other day when we were going to talk about this. My spam folder is nothing but porn. Like if you go to just
what? I don't think I have any porn in mine.
Look at your spam, just your spam folder, not your regular mail folder.
Here's my spam folder: refi, laser sights, hearing aid accessories, pharmacy RX, Landsbrook, join the golf clubs, your fourth attempt at refinancing, Quicken Loan. This is it. I'm just reading it.
Okay.
Pharmacy, Quicken, height, refinance, alert. Your ranches can be. I got no porn. Where the hell have you been? And then here we go. I've got 113,328 messages.
But you need a secretary. You do not need to have that bogging down your internet, dude. You got to clear that out. That is not good. Here's what's in my spam.
Why?
Not my regular email with spam interjected, but just spam. Something says, please check your account today. Cash App, insurance, Sam's Club. You have a new match. I'm not on any dating services. Liberty Mutual, casting website. Okay, I know I have porn. There's something here if I want to get Botox.
I'll send you something if you want.
Last time I looked, here we go. Sex secrets. Jessica, hey, McKinsey, I want to talk to you, question mark. I get a lot of those women that say, hey, hot, hey, hottie. Why are they sending it to women? I've got a psychic. I've got something that says I can win a Sony PlayStation. Congratulations. You can, an Esmeralda wants to talk to me. You have no porn at all.
No porn at all. I mean,
Man.
can I say that I've never gotten porn? Maybe one or two, but
Why would they send porn to a female. And to be honest with you, I don't really look at the porn sites because I feel like they're very violent towards women. So it's not really like a thing for me. So it's
I
interesting.
consider I consider it a how-to video. I get more porn-ish things on Facebook where I'll get a shapely woman wanting to be my friend with
Yeah,
no friends in common. Well, we know what that is going to be.
right, right. Yeah.
And of course I click yes, and we're friends.
Of course you do. You're a friendly kind of a guy, Tom. I
Why
feel like
should I say no to friendship?
no, no. I mean, you definitely should say yes to everything because that's part of improv. Yes, and
That's right. Yes, and
yes, and okay. So I don't know what time it is. I haven't really
you've got 9 minutes.
9 minutes. Okay, so starting at the beginning of the pandemic, was there
So
any?
you've been so relaxed. We used to have that 40-minute clicking off, and then we're in a panic. But now that I let out the secret that I'm now subscribing to Zoom, you're relaxed. We'll take 12 minutes to get to the point.
I
It's
also
all
want to take a commercial break to thank Gidget for this beautiful wine mug that I now have tea in. Isn't it lovely? I was gifted and so loved on my birthday.
yeah.
It
You
was.
and D. Martin drinking tea.
I'm just drinking some. It's just a little bit of sweet tea, everybody. Nothing to worry about. Okay. At the beginning of the pandemic, Tom, I talked last time how I had bought this exercise stuff and I hadn't opened it up yet. And so I just discovered it. Is there anything you started at the beginning of the pandemic, like a lesson or a class or something? You're like, hey, you didn't do any of that you didn't fall for that.
I did my 50 push-up things in the middle there somewhere.
You did do the push-up thing. What happened to your push-ups?
I hit my goal when I turned 62, and then it kind of floated away.
Oh,
That was
so
in July.
in in the best of all worlds, would you still be doing push-ups every day?
Yeah, me and Patrick. Now we set up the gym at Pat's house because that's where I'm moving next week.
Yes.
And he said I was over there yesterday. He goes, I've been doing some push-ups. I'm doing this and this. And he goes,
Okay.
he's looking to get back in. I got the weights over there, so we're gonna go at it. So I said, we're gonna do 15 minutes a day. I did some stretching today. I'm slowly making the turn. I'm
Oh,
gonna say, I'm tired of being a skinny fat man.
no. What's the craziest workout stuff that you ever bought? Because we've all bought
Huh.
stuff.
I bought a bowl worker. This thing
Oh,
is metal bar you compress. I was probably in my teens when I did that, and then it had some straps on it. You pull like a bow.
okay.
I purchased a standalone hydraulic machine. All these things get used for about 3 months. I bought a super incline treadmill, which was supposed to reflect the angle of attack when I was on the Baldy Hill climb that I do once a year.
Oh,
I didn't hardly use that at all.
wow. Where is it now? What'd you do with it?
That got tossed into a trash thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I tried to repair it. It was sitting outside, kind of an outside porch area. It
Uh-huh.
didn't hold up well. I put it into the extended mode and I couldn't get it down. So I was very pleased when I was able to drag it to the dumpster and then throw it into the dumpster about a month and a half ago.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's pretty typical of most of us, right? We get enthralled because we watch these videos and we think, yes, that is doable. Yes, I can do that. But it's not about the product, it's about us internally, how we convince ourselves to get up and do whatever. You don't necessarily need to buy. I bought all kinds of expensive exercise workout equipment. The one thing I did buy that I will say I used, and I wish I kept it because now it's a collector item, was the Thigh Master. Do you remember
Suzanne Summers.
Suzanne Summers?
I own a version of that, and I just gave it. I said, Pat, I'm bringing this to the gym, and it's like it's an oversized thigh master, and it's for your chest or for your arms, or for your legs when you're sitting there watching. And he's like, yeah, we're not allowed to watch TV unless one of us is working this thing. I mean, that's the ticket.
All right. You know what? You guys need to take before and after pictures. You need to do the before shot and the after. You would motivate people, Tom, because it really is, it's a mental game of actually working out, of those small things that we should. I mean, how long has this pandemic been going on? Since
A
March?
year. So did you know that yesterday was the first day? Was it yesterday the first day that a year ago that we identified our first,
No.
COVID patient?
I did not know that.
Could you imagine if somebody told you a year ago yesterday that we're going to lose 400,000 people to this?
No,
You'd think they were insane. I
no,
go, how can you say
no.
400,000?
And the tragic thing is, and hopefully now we'll flip it because of the officials that were in place at that time, it was poo-pooed and brushed off, and it's just the flu, and it's fake diagnosis. I still know people that say, "Oh, not all those people died of COVID. They had other."
Okay. Yeah. Whatever. People just don't drop dead in the street. It's always a combination. You know
Right.
what's concerned me a little bit? I want to get off this topic as we're about to wrap it up.
Okay.
But I checked back in on South Korea. South Korea used to be my, my example of how to handle the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah.
South Korea had, we became their realization of an infected patient, and ours also happened yesterday, a year ago, right?
Okay.
They've
Yes.
got 50 million people, and they only had 400 dead after about 7 or 8 months. But I checked back in, and now they're over 1,000, and they've got their infection rates are starting to climb once again. So,
Wow.
little FYI, Joe needs to just do this. Joe's like, we're so used to 4,000 people dying a day that we become immune to it. I remember when March, April, May in Italy, 400 people a day were piling up, and they didn't have the graves for them all. It's like, and
Yes.
we were in a panic. 4,000 a day. It's like, well, it's not me, and it's nobody's dying in my front yard. I guess that's okay.
Yes. We've become
So
very callous to it. Yeah.
we need to just stop everything. They're gonna hopefully they're gonna make Pfizer and whatever else you're making, boys. Put the Viagra on the back burner. Everything's we're gonna do that. What is it? The military conscription of the factories that can have the ability to make this vaccine. That's all we're gonna do for the next 6 months is make vaccine till we make 600 million doses of it. That's what we're
Absolutely.
gonna do.
I feel like the focus is, I mean, they said that from the very beginning that the Biden team is focusing on the vaccine. That's all about COVID and taking care and getting things done. So I
I
believe,
mean, yeah. I mean, think about it. They came up with the vaccine beginning of November.
yes,
Right after the election, they announced the vaccine. Pfizer did.
yes,
So November, December. Now we're almost done with January. It's been almost 3 months, and we should have had a rollout. We should be doing a million a day. It's insane that our feet were just dragging while the numbers are just going up, up. Because that's the only thing that's going to save us. We're
right,
not going to get saved by gloves
right,
and masks and social
right.
distancing. The vaccine's going to save us.
Well, I mean, from what I'm understanding is once the Biden team came in, they said they really didn't have an active plan to do that, and that's why. I mean,
I hope Joe had a plan. I mean, they didn't have the old group didn't have a plan,
yeah,
but this Joe should have come in with a plan. Here's a 17-point plan, and this is what we're going to be doing.
I'm sure he does. Before we go, I have to know what happened with that $1,000 bet with your friend. What's occurred,
I cashed that check yesterday.
and will he cash yours because you sent him a check as well?
I am not even going to check. I rarely check my bank balance. I always have an idea what I got on there.
Why don't you cancel the check so he can?
No, no, no.
You
He's
can.
an honorable man. He's crazy but honorable.
Okay. And
And
have you talked to him, since the bet was, for anybody that's not familiar, this man was very confident that Trump would retain the presidency, so he bet $1,000. Tom wanted to bet 100, but this guy said 1,000.
this was on January 1st. So this was after the election. It wasn't like, September 3rd, January 1st.
It was an agreement because he believed what was being said out there, that Trump was going to retain the
Yeah.
presidency.
He couldn't wait for the 6th, and then he couldn't wait for the 20th. And then his Facebook has gone very quiet.
Okay. For all the people that believe that, though, I'm not trying to be hard on them. I hope that they can find some direction and figure out what made them feel like the secrets that nobody else knew that they knew were worked against them, and that they can find a safe and healthy way to move forward, because clearly
Absolutely.
it's not a good way. It's not a good way to be. I feel badly for people that have bought into it and that now feel devastated. I did read yesterday that some QAnon people are pulling away from him because they're saying that he's weak, that he did
Yeah.
not do what he was supposed to do, and that they said he was supposed to help get him out of jail, and he hasn't done that, which,
And he can't do it. No pardons for anybody. Oh, and I did have a bet with another fella,
yeah.
$100 bet. Then I made the bet with him. I knew he was going to lose. I mean, I hope to God, because if he wins the bet, we're in martial law with civil war. I mean, that was the other result. So I'm not going to care about the $100 if that's the case.
Right.
But he's a nice fella, but he works as a guard at the HSN. It's like, so I said, I won't make the bet. He wanted to bet me. He came at me. Let's bet. I go,
What
all
was
right,
the
what do you
bet?
want? It was 100.
No, I mean, about what though? What was the bet?
Same thing. Who's going to be the president? Same thing. And it's like, then about 2 weeks ago, he reminded me of the bet. Don't forget about our bet. I go,
Really?
all right.
Wow.
And so then 2 days ago, well, what is it, yesterday? I said, I private messaged him. I said, hey, what about that Hondo? Or why don't you and I go out to lunch and you buy me lunch and we'll call it a day?
So much better. That's so
Absolutely. I'm not the first guy, he was crazy and he's got money,
yeah.
right? Crazy money.
Right.
And he would have cashed my check. There's no doubt about that.
He may still do it.
He may, I doubt it. But then the second guy is like, he's way religious. He's all caught up into the religious aspect of the whole thing.
Yes.
And there's no way. I'll take him out to lunch. If he just the fact that he responded and then said, yeah, we're good. Let's do that. Let's go out to lunch. When's a good time for you? Just the fact that he responded, that's like, okay, I'm not collecting from him.
I love that. I want to know how that lunch goes, because that's really what we need. That's really what we need. I will say I did block a lot of people on social media, but the people I blocked, the last person I blocked threatened me, said that I was probably going to die because I didn't believe what he believed. And I thought, I don't have time. I'm not debating with you.
Right.
I'm done. So I hope that anybody else that is still connected to me on social media, or anybody out there that is feeling those feelings, they can find a way to maybe look through the truth. I'm not saying my way. Find some truth out there and figure out what made you so tucked into the secrets that you feel like.
And if nothing else, just notice the way that the Trump bailed on you. If he was truly the leader, he didn't let 3,000 people charge the Capitol, 500 people get arrested, 0 pardons, 0. And then Trump at the end said, I didn't tell anybody to be violent. Not me, not my watch. I go, well, there you go. There's your fearless leader, backpedaling so fast, all the way to Mar-a-Lago, some golden toilet in Mar-a-Lago.
Did you see when he landed in Florida, how Melania just kept on walking?
I didn't watch any of that. I didn't see it.
He stopped to talk and waved to the crowds, and she just kept on walking. And so now it's a meme. She just left. It's like her hair was in a bun. She had a summer dress on. I'm out of here.
How was the crowd? Big? He's got a lot of support down there.
I think he does have support.
This will be interesting. I claim he fades away without the Twitter, without the Facebook. He's got no way to rally his troops. Now they're going to the QAnon folks fade away a little bit. I think that everything simmers down. This is like going to the grocery store when you're hungry. Everything looks good. It's like, when you're living in the moment, that's all you can think about. So 4 days ago, it was all Trump, 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 Trump. Now he's not going to be so much in everybody's face as much. I think things are going to settle down. Folks are like, okay, I may have been wrong there. Let's go over here.
I did read they're moving forward on Monday with the impeachment process.
Yeah, and then McConnell asked that we push it back to February.
Of course.
Whatever. Mitch is going to try to get this guy impeached.
I hope so. And I hope that you're right. The focus is on moving forward because we've got nothing to gain. I would like to see him held accountable. That's all I want. Accountable for what he's done. No made up anything. I want him accountable for what he's done. And I want help for the people that got sucked into QAnon, because it's unfair to these people to be living under a false lie and putting fear in their hearts. That's not how you treat people. So what's the positive or sexy tip of the day? I know you gave a tip earlier, but you're always full of wisdom, Mr. Wise.
You know what? I had a tip of the day and I forgot what it is. All right, here's the tip of the day.
Yes.
Two seam fastball, you hold it like this.
Okay.
Okay. And then as you release it, you snap your wrist. Now, if you want to throw a curveball, You put both your fingers on this side, and then you snap it overhand as you make the release. There you go.
And you can
Curveball, fastball.
use that in life. Do you want to use a curveball in life, or do you want to use a fastball?
There you go. Spin it any way you like.
Well, I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
We unpacked some shit today. We're very excited for the new year 2021.
But have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the other side. And it's another one in the can. Let's see if I can stop this thing.
See.
That's what she said. Recording, stop.
And it's still recording, which